Hey, welcome back to Challenge It, sports fans. Who loves you? We do. We're here back at Challenge It for our 11th episode, talking once again about our beloved Chicago Bears and the NFL draft, but really excited about our special guest today. The Slack Boys are here, and it's great to see you guys. It's been a long time since we've hung out, and I want to just take a quick second to say hi to you guys. We got Kyle. Say hi, Kyle.
Hello.
Yeah, we got Curtis.
What's up?
And then we got Colin.
Hello.
And then we got Chris bringing up the caboose, also known as Moose.
What's going on? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no, it's great to see you guys. And Kyle just told me the other day it's been a long time since the four of you guys have gotten together. Is that correct?
Maybe last month.
Well, we did a breakfast once in a while, but it's very hard though with our busy lives.
Okay, so your mom and dad are probably going to break down and cry once they hear this show. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Okay. No, we got a lot of testosterone around this table right now, which is a beautiful thing. And we're going to kick it off. And Josh, it's great to see you too, my friend.
How's it going?
Yeah. And why don't you tell us about our game plan here for our 11th episode on Challenge It?
Okay, so the game plan for today, just like a sports layout, we have a first half and second half like we usually do. The first half, we're going to do our Challenge It segment, which is our statement segment, where everyone comes with a bold statement that they've prepared beforehand in the show, and everyone around the table can agree with that statement, or as we say, challenge it and throw down the challenge flag. And then closing out the first half, I have a fun question for everyone where they're going to talk about their favorite sports memory as a fan or as a player that they've personally had. And then in the second half, we're going to talk about the NFL draft and some key players for the Chicago Bears or just key players in all across the NFL to talk about. And then to close out the show, another fun question, just talking about our personal favorite athlete of all time.
Beautiful. I love it, man. It's going to be a fun show. Awesome. All right, let's get to it. All right, kicking off our Challenge It segment. I'll start out, guys. And here's my challenge statement. And I know some of you are going to be like, "Oh, Joe, come on, we expected this out of you." But really listen to this statement because I think it's going to be kind of a foretelling of what's to come for our beloved Chicago Bears in the 2025 NFL season. I got the Bears winning the NFC North Division, and Ben Johnson will win Coach of the Year. I predict the Bears will either go 12-5 or 13-4. What say you? Anybody got any thoughts on that?
Who do you have the losses to?
I got the losses if they go 12. Well, here's their home schedule and away schedule. They take on the Lions, the Packers, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Browns, the Steelers, and the Saints at home. Okay. So when I look at that home schedule, guys, we all can probably agree that the Bears are a different team at home.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And, based off of how they performed against the Packers last year, they really should have won 2 games against the Packers, with that block field goal, which was heartbreaking, we know.
Thank you, man.
Right?
Eberflus.
I know. I'm still suffering from post-traumatic stress from that. But I, honest to gosh, if there's one team that I would say that they're going to lose at home, it would probably be maybe the Lions, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think the Lions would be a team that we would be most vulnerable at home. But to answer your question, Moose, I got them losing. If they lose 1 game at home to the Lions, I got them losing 4 games on the road, once again to the Lions, possibly the Packers, the Eagles, and the Ravens. But their away schedule is the Lions, the Packers, the Vikings, the Eagles, the Commanders. I just think that they're going to be really hyped up for that game for what happened last year, right? With the Hail Mary, with that dagger. And then the Bengals, 49ers, and Raiders, I confidently think that we can take those teams on the road. No, I'm basing that off of what I've seen Ben Johnson do in Detroit with that offense. Now, how does that correlate with the Bears? Well, I mean, if you look at their coaching staff, guys, and I've been a fan for about 52 years now. Started watching the Bears when I was 7 years old. I'm 59. I know I look like I'm 25, but I know that's breaking news to you. But I look at this coaching staff, and honest to gosh, and there's a lot of fans who feel the same way. This is kind of like a dream coaching staff. They've got Declan Doyle as offensive coordinator, who's an up-and-coming, bright young mind. Dennis Allen, defensive coordinator, has been a head coach. Richard Hightower's back on special teams. Antoine Randall L. coming back to Chi-Town to coach the wide receivers. Eric Bieniemy.
That was a sleeper right there. That was a good one for the Bears.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fans that are really excited about that. And then Dan Rochar as offensive line coach. So I got him winning the NFC North. That's my bold statement. Anybody want to throw the flag at my head right now? Or
I'm going to keep the flag in my pocket.
Okay, beautiful.
How do you beat the Lions? Think you can beat the Lions?
Do I think we can beat the Lions?
No way.
Well, I mean, that's the question mark, Kyle, because, I really believe Ben Johnson knows how to game plan for the Lions, right? Being there for the last 3 years. But I also think the Lions know Ben Johnson really well.
The Lions played with a lot of injuries last year.
They did.
Yeah.
And it's that defense that's why I'm hesitant to say that's an automatic win for me.
Right.
And depending on what the Bears do in the draft.
Yeah.
And how they solidify that offensive line, that Lion team could be a problem next year.
They have a really good running back, I hear.
They got real good running back. So that's my bold statement. Now, the last 2 years, I'll say this, and I'll kick it off for our next bold statement. The last 2 years, the Bears have been predicted to win 8.5 games. That's that's what they've predicted the Bears to.
About 500.
About 500. And, so I got them 12-5, 13-4, wishful thinking. Maybe I'm setting myself for. I just got a feeling. Could be acid reflux, but
I'm looking at the away schedule right now. It looks tough.
Yeah, it does.
I'm gonna throw the challenge flag on that one. For the,
easy.
Every year I feel like you're optimistic about the Bears, and so just the fact that you're making that prediction makes me, I on paper, Ben Johnson, their roster, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to win the NFC North, but I think that it's a thing that's going to take time. I think they could be in the wild card round. Maybe this is the year where we reach the postseason, but I don't know. I just think it's a lot of pressure for a new head coach to win the division, especially with the NFC North being a competitive division. I feel like every team could be a potential winner in the NFC North that could end up winning the division. So
yeah, I think it's the toughest division in football.
Agreed.
But when you look at what Ben Johnson's done, and I know it's probably unfair for me to just project to say, hey, that automatically carries over to the first year as a head coach with the Bears. But I also know that when you look at those teams in the division, there's really nobody that I'm like, okay, that team is dominant, that we cannot at least be competitive against. The Vikings surprised a lot of people last year.
Nobody expected anything from Sam Darnold, and what does he do?
Yeah,
he just goes up
like
a pro athlete.
Yeah, but I think a lot has to do with Kevin O'Connell as well. I mean, you've seen it done. Kirk Cousins, then you put Darnold in there, and next thing you know, they're right back where they were. But that kind of goes into my bold statement as well, so wait for that one.
No, why don't you go ahead, Chris?
All right, so I'll jump in here. My bold statement is Vikings and the Packers both don't make the playoffs. So we had 3 out of the 4 with the Bears not making the playoffs last year. So I think we're flipping the script a little bit, and I think it's going to be the Bears and the Lions out of the NFC North that get in. So Vikings and Packers both don't make the playoffs. I mean, Vikings year over year have taken 2 games from us, to your point. Yeah, they're not going to take 2 from us this year. We're going to take 2 from them. And I think the Vikings, they got to make a decision here, right? I mean, JJ's injury is going to be delayed a little bit, so we'll see if he's ready. But a rookie, as you said, coming into the best division in football, as it lines up, we'll really see what he's made of and throw him right in the fire there. So.
Okay, your brothers are looking at you like you're.
I'll challenge that. Sorry, I love you.
Kyle
but
drops the flag.
I will drop the flag and challenge it because the Packers always give us a problem every year. As much, and their coach he knows how to coach his players. And last year, you remember the game against Green Bay, he stumbled a little bit at the end. He did the Bears a favor by calling a timeout instead of making the Bears run the clock and making them use their timeout. So he had a little stumble there with the brain. But, he's proven 11 out of 12 times that he's been able to beat us. And I want to beat that guy every time we step on the floor, every time on the field. But this guy, and as you said, Kevin O'Connell, he just knows how to fight. It doesn't matter who he has. He had Nick Mullins come in for a game last year, and he did really well. He made that guy look like, Scott.
Like Joe Montana.
Yeah, Scott Mitchell. He made him look like that guy. So I think it'll be a little bit closer, but I do think that the Bears could come out of it. It'll be a little bit harder than that. Might come down to some tiebreakers.
Just one more comment. Caleb Williams 1-0 against the Packers in 2025.
Yeah.
Undefeated in 2025.
Undefeated in
Yeah.
2025.
It was a great way to go out, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh, man, I was screaming.
Virginia's last game.
I know. That was a blessing.
So I don't think the Lions really missed too much of a beat. I think Dan Campbell gets those guys. He gets them ready for every single game, right?
Yeah.
The whole season. So I think he'll get them back to the playoffs. We'll see what happens. Obviously,
Yeah. No, Moose, you give me a lot to think about there with the Vikings situation at quarterback, and then the Packers, seeing if they ever recover from that devastating loss against the Bears. Maybe they're in a tailspin.
Absolutely.
What do you, Curtis? Kyle, what do you think about that? You want to challenge Moose on that, or?
I'll jump in here. I think there will be, again, 3 NFC North teams.
There you go, baby.
So I know you said that both Vikings and Packers may not make it. I think because we are the toughest division in football, that they're all going to be at the top. I think last year, the 3 NFC North teams that made it, obviously not the Bears, but they only had what? Lions had like 1 or 2 losses. Vikings and Packers only had like 3 or 4. We're a good. We're a good division. We'll be tough.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It's so competitive because of the coaches.
Oh yeah.
Right. The coaches are what, and I'm not dismissing the talent because you have to have the horses in the barn, right, to be competitive. It's a fact. But the reality is that we have seen firsthand what good coaching does and how quickly having a good coach at the helm can turn around a football team in one season.
Yep.
And, that's the exciting thing when we think about the NFC North next year, what that's going to look like, because Ben Johnson, not to bring it back to the Bears, but one of the things that, we were talking about, Josh, is that, Ben Johnson knows that NFC North really, really well, and they're not bringing some guy from outside that doesn't know how to game plan against these
From
NFC
the
North
Canadian
teams.
Football League?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Don't bring that guy up again.
I won't mention any names, but
No need to. Distant memory.
distant memory. Okay. All right. I love it though. Who's got this next statement here?
Well, I'm a Colts fan, so can I give you my Colts bold statement here?
Yeah, Kyle, I just want to ask you one quick question.
Yes, sir.
Now, when did you jump to the other side? When did you,
They claim it was, they claim it was after the Super Bowl. It was before.
Oh, it was before.
I will say that the reason I switched is because when I was in FCA,
Yeah.
Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Lovie Smith was the coach of the Bears, and Tony Dungy was the coach of the Colts, and he was in the book. He was in the FCA book. And
Yeah.
after that, I switched.
Yeah.
And I said, Lovie Smith has no passion. Tony Dungy knows how to inspire guys, and they go and win a Super Bowl. So
How have
said
I
I
not
can't do
heard
it.
this story in how many years?
I'm just telling you, that's why I switched. It
Yeah.
was the FCA book.
Two great coaches,
Two great coaches.
and not just
One was a
coaches,
little
but great men too.
100%.
Yeah. So, all right, let's hear it.
I got Danny Dimes is going to start all year over AR.
Danny Dimes
Yeah.
over AR.
Colts picks up Daniel Jones. I don't know why, but I'm assuming it's so he starts, right? I think we've kind of given up on Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
At least I have.
I'm just curious, like, what's the fan base in Indy really? What's the overall feeling about that as far as AR? Do you have a kind of a pulse on,
is
how the Colts fans are feeling
Completely
about?
mixed.
Okay.
Completely mixed. You either love him or you hate him.
Right.
Right? Because you see him, he goes out there, he makes big moves, big plays, and then horrible turnovers. Right?
Yeah.
He just doesn't exactly have ball control that we need.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he started a lot of games in college. I was a
Yeah.
little upset when we drafted him, honestly. It wasn't
Yeah.
my favorite pick that year.
Yeah.
But I think we just go Danny Dimes. He's never had a line. You're coming to the Colts. Yeah, we lost Ryan Kelly, which hurts. He's at the Vikings. Good luck with him. He's a really good center. But he's going to do a good job behind our line. And he's got, obviously Danny Dimes had Saquon for a little bit, but now he's got, JT. JT's probably, I'm biased, but he's the best running back in the league.
Well, I'm not.
Challenge
I'm not going to throw the challenge flag on that because of the fact that I agree. I think that there's too many question marks in Indy at the quarterback position, and I don't know if anybody around this table can say, hey, AR is going to be better than Danny or Danny's going to be. I mean, I think it's a mystery.
Yep.
Exactly
what it is.
And I think to your point about AR, tremendous athlete. I think we know that it's a different level at the NFL compared to college. The windows when you're throwing that football in there are much smaller.
Yep.
And, I know Caleb last year, played a lot of shotgun. He didn't go under center a lot. So there's a lot of adjustments that a quarterback has to make at the NFL level. And some of them develop a lot faster than others, but I'm not going to challenge the flag. I'm not going to throw the flag on it.
So
What record comes with that?
Next question, please. I think we could compete for our division, right? We got the Titans who, they're not going to do anything. Jaguars have gone downhill. The only people we really compete with is the Texans. And C.J. Stroud kind of took a back step last year, honestly. It wasn't as good.
Yeah, he did.
We can compete in the division. I'm not going to claim we're going to win it. I will just because I'm a fan, but we'll be just above 500.
Okay.
So what about, let's say, draft night comes and
We take an edge.
It's coming soon. I'm excited. We're excited.
we'll get into the picks later, but staying on the AR Danny Dimes debate. On draft night, what's the lowest value pick that you would trade AR for?
I'll have to think about that. That's a good question. Do we trade him, though, or do we let him sit? I forgot how long we signed Danny Dimes.
1 year.
1 year? Let him sit for another year. I don't know. Let him develop. He wasn't.
Learn the offense.
He didn't play a lot in college, like I said. Like he was just an athlete. We drafted him at basis on athlete, right? Not a great pick, but that's Ballard, and that's a different conversation. We got to get rid of Ballard. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's another show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Curtis, you got a
Curtis, you want to throw the flag? You gonna
No,
join him on the sideline there, or what?
You want me to go bold
I
statement?
want to hear your bold statement. I've been waiting for it.
All right. Big, bold statement here.
Love it, baby.
The Bears
Bash.
will be the 32nd and final team this year to have a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
He was knocking on the door of that last year, right here.
3,500.
3,500 with really no offensive coordinator.
The invisible man up in the booth.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. And a horrible offensive line, with the exception of Darnell Wright,
Yep.
right? And Braxton Jones, who I think is average. I mean, and nothing against Braxton Jones, but I just think that he's not a top-tier left tackle. That's just, even though, there's numbers that maybe reflect a little bit differently with that, but I just think that when you look at that offensive line, Darnell Wright is the best. And that, so 4,000, talk about that, Curtis.
Yeah, so as everyone around here knows, the Bears' quarterback position has been horrible.
Yeah.
But with the addition, we got 3 new offensive linemen, right? Tooney, Dahlman, and Jackson. 2 of them have been Pro Bowlers before. I think Braxton, what's actually going to help him a lot, everyone says he's maybe below par average. I think what's going to help him a lot is the coach. I mean, put a lot of stock in Ben Johnson, getting the ball out of Caleb's hands, getting in our receivers' hands, getting in the running back hands. Let the playmakers make plays, and Caleb's going to go smooth his way into 4,000 yards.
Anybody want to comment? I love that. I love that.
I mean, I will say that I agree with that statement, but it might be hard with the production if you don't have a guy like Keenan Allen again. I mean, Keenan Allen carried a lot for the Bears last year. He made a lot of those big third down conversions for Caleb, and they don't have him anymore. So unless they want to bring him back, I know he's a free agent still, but I don't think he'll take a pay cut to be with the Bears.
I'm gonna agree with you, Curtis, because your point with the coaching makes all the difference. We were talking about that just a few minutes ago. Dan Rochar's got over 40 years of experience. I've told this to my boys many times. I think Chris Morgan has gotten kind of a free pass the last few years as an offensive line coach. There hasn't been a lot of scrutiny on what he's done to really develop these guys. And I think Yeah, I mean, to me, I think 4,000 is very attainable with the talent that they got. And when we talk about the key position at center, Dahlman, I mean, this blows my mind, guys. When you think about they bring in Caleb Williams, right? Or even back to Justin Fields, and you don't have a proven center that's underneath him calling, the formations. I mean, it just blows my mind that they haven't had that in the last 3-4 years. A lot of fans have been screaming for a center for years, and now
Kurtz.
yeah, and now we've got Dahlman who has that experience. That's going to take so much pressure off of Caleb, where he doesn't have to concentrate and do everything at the line of scrimmage. So, yeah,
Run
4,000.
game would help too. A little run game, I think.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference there.
Yep. The only thing that could prevent him too is, remember, he's going from shotgun to Ben Johnson, who has the quarterback under center. So that's a little bit of an adjustment, but if anybody do it, Caleb looks like he has the work ethic and everything to do that.
Yep, great point, Kyle.
Who's the wide receiver 3?
Zacchaeus? What's his name?
Yeah.
Zacchaeus, yeah.
Zacchaeus, they
because
picked
you
up
have
from Washington.
DJ 1,
Roma Dunze
Rome
at 2.
2, and then
Zacchaeus, yeah.
Zacchaeus.
And then
got
Tyler
Matt
Scott's a
too,
question mark, and I think they could be in the market for. I don't know. I mean, they could go for another receiver, but I don't think that's a position of need. We'll talk about that later on. All right, 4,000 yards. I love it.
4,000 yards. That was a very good statement.
Yeah.
Actually, that
Uncharted
was
waters for us, huh?
actually a good thing I prepared a couple, because that was mine. So you got in front of your big brother on that one.
All right, I love.
Anyway, I'll go with my second bold statement
All right,
then,
let's hear it,
and
Kyle.
this is unrelated to football or anything, but I say that my bold statement is David Carl will be the head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks before the season starts. David Carl, he's University of Denver. He's won 3 championships. He's a young coach. He's coached some of the Blackhawks that are currently on the roster at the World Juniors. So, and he's been waiting for the right position to come in. So, is Danny Wirtz willing to spend the money like George McCaskey did to get a young guy like Ben Johnson? That's the only question. I mean, and I've heard Chris Chelios on the Score say, I'm tired of these young guys. I want a proven coach, because, NHL coaches are the most recycled in all sports. You look, you see John Tortorella on the Flyers one year, and then, he's on Vancouver now. Because, they just go, it's such a short leash for these coaches. But David Carl, I mean, he's been waiting for the right situation. It's just, you got to make him the right offer if you're Danny Wirtz in the Chicago Blackhawks front office. And Kyle Davidson, if he believes in him, he'll take him, and I did read that he's the leading candidate for the favor right now.
Oh, is he? Okay, good. Anybody want to throw the challenge flag? It's right in front of you guys. Just toss that baby. And
So I have a question
Don't be shy.
before I throw it.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Does he have any NHL experience?
He
before
does
this?
not. That is the only.
There we
We're going challenge.
Oh,
We're going
okay.
challenge.
don't hit the Dr. Pepper.
Don't hit that. Don't spill that.
My reason being
Speaking
is,
of Dr. Pepper.
you have a guy that's playing solely just college, or coaching just college hockey. Mm-hmm. Blackhawks, very, very young team.
Yep.
The skating levels are completely different when we're talking college to NHL. Right?
Absolutely.
The game's much quicker and everything moves faster. So when you bring in a young guy like that, I mean, the speed and the pace of the game is dramatically different. Do you think he'd be able to adjust and really get the team going at that pace that the NHL goes at?
I believe he'd hold more accountability, like towards his players, like he did for the Frozen Four with the University of Denver. I believe he would hold these guys accountable. He's only 35. I mean, he's younger than me. My goodness, but he seems like that guy that commands the room, and he commands the respect of the room, kind of like Ben Johnson does the way he came into the Bears. So, I believe he can. It's just a matter of, if you're the Blackhawks, you've tried this young coach thing for the last 3 times. You had Jeremy Colleton, you had King, and you had Sorensen. So those were all 3 coaches who were coaches in Rockford that said, okay, they know these players, they've worked with these players, they could take them to the next level. That would be the question for David Carl. Can he take these guys to the next level, like a John Tortorella or somebody else, Craig Berube? Somebody in the NHL who's taken their guys to the next level and won championships.
So I guess I'm not challenging the statement of him being the coach. I'm just challenging how the production would look if he was brought in.
That's the
with a
big
young
question
team.
from a lot of fans right now, is can he take that team to the next level? And
Well,
I
seems
think
like
he can.
He's. I didn't mean to interrupt you. But he seems like that he's coming in with some credentials, though.
Yes.
And that in itself, I think, is something to consider. But to your point there, Chris, it's a different level, right, from college to the NHL. But I tell you what, they've got to do something because I think the Hawks. I don't think it's offensively. I don't think it's a problem. But defensively, when you look at that team, where they really struggled this year was on the defense.
On the blue line, you have a bunch of young guys. I mean, they drafted Lezhmanov. He's only 19 years old, about 6'1", about 215. So,
Yeah,
I mean, the kid's a strong kid. I mean, the guy's going to get strong. Now,
And you got to do something soon because, you got to create that culture. They've got some talent on that roster, and they've got to start moving it in the right direction to really build some of that fan base.
And you don't want to make Bedard mad because if you do, he might be just like any other athlete that's once out of Chicago because he wants to win. And you can see it every time with this guy. He wants to win.
Yeah, you got to surround him with some talent. So, all right, I love the statements. Any other statement Josh, did you?
I didn't prepare one.
Okay.
Could come up on the fly. I don't know if we have anything.
Okay, it's all right because you probably agreed with mine a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
you were the only one that threw the flag on that. No. But you probably had doubts though after you threw the flag. Were you probably thinking, reconsidering? You know what?
No, I'm like
this
Thomas or whatever from the Bible. I gotta see it to believe it.
Yeah, you got to see it to believe it. All right, I know you had a question for us, Josh, for the last part of the first half.
So going around the table, anyone can start, but a favorite sports memory, either as a fan of one of your favorite teams or as a player that you've been a part of.
Well, I think Big Brother will start this one off. So I actually have a tie because there's one as an athlete and one as a fan. So I'll start with the fan one. It was 9 years ago, and I think some people know where I might be going with this, but when the Cubs played in the NLCS Game 1 against the Dodgers, I was there with my dad, and that was the most electric I have ever seen Wrigley in my life. My goodness. I mean, just walking in, positive vibes, which, for Cubs fans, there's not a lot about that sometimes because they remember the previous year with the New York Mets.
Yesterday's game was unbelievable. That place was electric.
Exactly.
That's going to go down as one of the greatest games in Chicago history.
Luckily, they didn't blow that one like some of the other ones in the past, but they did great. But anyway, for Game 1, the Cubs were leading most of the way through the game, and then the 8th inning comes around. The Cubs are up 3-1. Aroldis Chapman had to come in because the other two pitchers walked the bases loaded. He struck out Corey Seager for the first batter to get the first out, and then struck out Yasiel Puig, who was a huge batter for them at that time, and he struck him out. Then up comes Adrian Gonzalez, who's a lefty, and you're thinking, okay, Chapman's got this guy. I mean, he was unhittable. It seemed like for lefties, couldn't really hit him. And then he just lines one little one, and then the whole air went out of the building. And my dad and I are looking at each other like, oh my God, this has not just happened. This did not just happen. The negative Cub vibes start surrounding the building again.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
we know about the dark
then
clouds
the
coming in.
8th inning comes for the Cubs. They get out of it. It's tied. So, the Cubs have 2 outs. They have the bases loaded. And then Joe Madden pinch hits Miguel Montero. And I'm looking around like, Miguel Montero? I mean, apparently he had really good numbers. I didn't know that against Joe Blanton, who was pitching for the Dodgers at that time. He gets an 0-2 count, and then I'm looking at my dad and I'm like, he's going to throw him the same pitch again, isn't he? He hasn't been able to hit any of these breaking balls. And then he just nails one, and then the whole crowd just went up in smoke. My God, I thought
I remember that.
everything was going to come off the building. And then they end up winning the game. But being part of that game, and I still have the ticket stub at home, that was, one of the best moments I've referenced as a fan. So probably the best one I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I mean, but
great moment.
Oh, great moment. And then as for athlete, Joe, you're actually part of this.
Oh,
thought I'd throw a curveball at you right there.
Taking me back to the glory days.
Yep. I think you remember 8th grade year, you told me to come out for the track team.
You were a good runner, Kyle.
You tried to get me for 2 years, and I told you, nah, I don't want to do it. It's all right. And then part of the motivation was people didn't think I was the fastest kid in the school. Do you remember what they thought?
Yeah,
was the
no, I
fastest
always,
kid?
you know, to give our audience a little bit, in case anybody's listening. No, just kidding. You know, just to give our audience a little bit of a background, you know, I was your PE teacher, and you know, we would obviously do the warm-ups in PE. You guys remember that, right? So, and I saw just natural ability in you as a runner, and you know, I ran in college, so I was able to witness and be part of a really good team, and just really saw the talent that you had. And I was just hoping that you would change your mind and come out for the team, because I knew once you got into that routine and got a little bit of experience underneath your belt, I thought that would be kind of like the launching point for you, that would give you that confidence that you could be a really successful runner, and you were.
Oh, yeah, and it was great. And then, so you finally convinced me, 8th grade year. You know, part of that was also motivation from my classmates saying, you know, you remember who they thought was the fastest kid in school?
Was that Jesse Peterson? No, I'm sorry.
No, he was a year older. He
Year
had
older,
graduated.
okay. Refresh my memory here.
Tall guy. Come on.
Give it to him.
Dan Lapp. You remember?
Dan Lapp,
Yeah, everybody said he was the fastest kid in
Yeah,
school, and I was
okay.
like, I had that inner confidence in me, like, you know, I wouldn't say anything, but I
Right.
just had that,
Yeah.
you know, I was going to, I could beat him, like, you
Yeah.
know, but some people were like, oh, you can't beat that guy. He's
Yeah.
the fastest one because of his height, you know, he's a little bit taller than me.
Yeah.
So
I
was
knew
the-
it. I saw it in
Yeah,
you.
it was the first race, you know, and it's my first ever track race, so I'm nervous enough as it is, because it's like, oh, you hope you don't stumble or get out of your lane or something like that. And then gun goes off, we're just going, like we're gutting it down the line, and it's like neck and neck. You remember, it was neck and neck. And then we crossed the line. You know, some people are like, who finished first?
Little
Who
photo
finished
finish there.
first? Yeah, pretty much. And then the official comes up to me and says 1. And then he goes to Dan and he says 2. And everybody was in shock. Some people, I was looking around, some people were just in shock.
What,
Like,
did you turn to Dan and give him the look? Or?
he kind of walked away, a little bit of a sulk, I think it was. A little bit of a sulk, like kind of a letdown in a way.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
and it was just kind of.
I just remember how excited you were really, really excited.
Oh yeah, it was jubilee, and you told me I qualified for state in
Yeah.
that same
That's a
first
beautiful-
race. Qualified for state and beat kind of my rival, if you want to put it,
Yeah.
in school. So that was my favorite as an
You do a
athlete.
great job of painting the picture.
Oh, I
I mean, I just went from the Cubs game, Electric Stadium, to sideline.
Curtis is having flashbacks on basketball.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so those are my two favorites. I couldn't pick between the two because one, you're
Yeah.
just in an electric atmosphere, and the other one, you picked an achievement and you just didn't even know you had it in you until you did it.
Yeah, no, Kyle, that's and that's great that you. I mean, I personally believe that when you experience that as an athlete, and you experience great moments, those stick with you for a lifetime.
Oh yeah.
And it's a confidence builder. So it's awesome to hear that. All right, who's next? Curtis, you want to go or?
Sure, I'll jump in.
All right.
Kyle is actually going to probably have to fill in the details. I know he's got a better memory than me.
I'm ready. I'm right here. I'm ready.
Bears game.
Bars.
Is it 49ers?
Oh, 2001.
Yep,
Oh,
probably 2009.
our first game. Yes.
No, where we were in the end zone,
Yes.
and Devin Hester was on the team.
Oh, Devin Hester.
Hester.
Oh, which one?
Well, maybe it wasn't.
We've been.
2001.
I was about to say it was.
We were there when I think it was against San Francisco. 108 yards in the end zone.
Oh, that was
We were in
Nathan.
the
That
end
was
zone.
Nathan Vasher.
Oh, Nathan Vasher.
Nathan
Thank
Vasher.
you. Thanks for correcting me.
I remember that
That's
because
my
we were
favorite
all.
man. That's how.
I think I was at that game.
That's how good of a memory I have.
Yeah.
Nathan Vasher. But he caught the ball in the end zone right before halftime. At the time, NFL record, 108 yards. Right?
Yep, it was. Yep.
And refresh my memory on that, Curtis. Was that they were wearing the orange uniforms in that?
I was about
That
to
game?
jump in on that. Yeah.
Okay.
I was wearing my orange uniform that day.
Moose,
because-
that's impressive.
Orange,
Frank.
orange versus gold, I believe San Francisco. That was the super windy game where Robbie
Yeah,
Gold.
super
Oh yeah.
Robbie Gold's aiming
When-
30 yards to the left and he still misses it to the right.
Yeah, when wind was blowing pretty bad.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nathan
great,
Vasher,
A lot
number
of
31.
great games. Yeah,
Colin?
that was a great game.
I think you guys know my favorite sports moment.
Oh, I
My
do.
favorite, actually, as a Colts fan, it's from a bear.
Bye.
It was the good old Keith Trailer interception
Oh,
run.
the rumbling, stumbling
Every
trailer.
time and then again, I look it up on YouTube just to watch the man run. So
Yeah,
Keith Trailer, I don't know how he caught it.
What did he weigh?
He was at least 350.
he was barking.
He was at least 350.
Tipping those
Pushing down
scales.
the field while he's running. He's looking to pitch into Peanut. Peanut's just telling him to run.
Yeah. And
Favorite
that,
moment.
yeah, that was a great moment, and I think he caught everybody off guard because for a big guy, he wasn't moving that bad.
He
you
wasn't
know?
Wasn't. He was trying to pass it off to Mike Brown. He's like, you take it. He's like, no.
Yeah, everybody was kind of like, "Holy
Lineman
cow,
next
this guy
to him,
can
what is
run."
it, Ted Washington, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Too big boy. How did he
Yeah.
get past that?
Yeah, that's a. All right, Josh, what do you got for us, baby?
I can't
A
think.
lot of
one.
moments over there.
Yeah, I mean, you could say the Cubs winning the World Series. I'll probably say as a fan was like the trip we took with Upward. We went out in the van to the United Center to watch the Bulls play. We had terrible seats.
Even
We were,
nosebleeds,
like way up
yeah.
in the nose. But
Oh, yeah.
Derrick Rose is my favorite athlete, so
Nice.
it was good to see Derrick Rose in person, even though it wasn't up close. And I remember that was a fun time.
Yeah.
There's also a funny moment on the car trip. These high school kids, I remember someone had to go pee, and so the whole van had to stop, and his friends were teasing him, trying to get him to look at like the lake and stuff as he's trying to hold in his pee. But, and then as a athlete, I don't know. I can't think. I have a lot of
You got a lot of good ones that you
baseball memories.
talk about them.
But honestly, the most no, I'm not gonna mention it because it's kind of weird. I'm just gonna.
Okay.
No, I'm not gonna do the athlete one.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Josh is a real good athlete, and he, he's got a lot of natural talent and ability. So he's humble too.
He's a Galendo.
He's humble because as his dad and as his coach, I can just rattle him off. Not because he's my son, but just the facts are the facts. So but he's also humble. So
Stats
respect
don't
that
lie.
to you, Josh. Respect that.
Chris.
So it's me. Kyle can probably paint the picture like Curtis said earlier.
I'm ready. Whenever
Cold,
you're
cold
ready.
December noon game. We're talking Bears versus
Bears.
Packers at Soldier Field.
Oh my God.
We're throwing it back. Brett Favre still the quarterback. Let me bring up the good old pick six of Brett Favre last time at Soldier Field by Brian
Oh,
Urlacher.
you know what? I was just watching that clip the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh my, and we tipped
Love
it up. He
that.
tipped it up in the air with the left hand, and he pulled it in, and he just took off.
All he had to beat was Brett.
Oh yeah, which is not a problem.
Is that a December 23rd game?
I think it was for your birthday.
It
yes.
was.
Oh my gosh.
Freezing.
Oh yeah.
Freezing, but it was all capped off by that, so couldn't complain.
That will get
Pretty
the
sure
blood
we won that
pressure
game
going.
Too, yes, I hope.
Yeah, we'll get the blood
I
pressure
think we
going.
did win that one.
I think
Yeah,
did.
we did. It was 35-7. Favre didn't throw a touchdown pass.
Even
And
better.
Peanut had 2 block punts in that game.
Oh,
Even better. So, yeah, I would say that one's top
yeah,
for me.
top for you. I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. Well, this was for me, guys. I tell you, it was hard. I mean, I just as a fan, I came up with 2 different great memories and moments for me. The first, obviously, is the Bears winning the Super Bowl in 1985. I was 20 years old, and I was at my buddy's place, and everybody was just going crazy. And I just remember feeling so happy for Walter Payton. He finally, after all those years, got a chance to win a Super Bowl. But then on the other side of it, the flip side of it was like he didn't score in that game, as you know.
Yep.
So I felt it was mixed emotions because I could tell from his body language at the end of the game that it was heartbreaking for him. I mean, you could see other players were walking up to him on the bench. He was sitting by himself. And Dick, Coach Dick makes a lot of his decisions off emotions rather than, thinking things through. And not to relive that moment, but I could tell Walter was really, really hurt that he didn't get a chance to score a touchdown. And then later on, after the game, in the locker room, they were looking for him to interview him, and he was in tears.
Wasn't he in a broom closet or
He
something?
was in the
He's-
closet. He was.
He
Really,
didn't want to speak to anybody.
Didn't want to, and it was like it was like those mountaintop moments. Like you're up there on the mountaintop. That defense in '85 we know was one of the best ever in the NFL. but at the same time, like watching Walter play since I was 9 years old, and then seeing all the times that he didn't get a chance to be in a Super Bowl or even a playoff game, it was just like unthinkable that he didn't even get a chance to score. So that was one of the moments I had.
Didn't McMahon score twice in that game and Fridge score once?
The Fridge scored once. McMahon, I don't remember.
I thought it was 2 quarterback sneaks, like down at the goal line.
Okay. Yeah, I'd have to research that. But, the Bears winning the Super Bowl. And then in 2016, the Cubs winning the World Series. We were in, Josh remembers this, in Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
That series, it went down 3-1 and then came back. It was unbelievable. Just couldn't believe the Cubs win the World Series after 100 years and be able to be alive and witness that. I know that was like a very special moment that you don't get to see very often. So those are my 2 greatest moments.
Oh, yeah.
And then you throw that weather delay in there, and you're like,
Weather delay.
What can happen after this?
Right.
Just painting the picture where it's, are they going to blow it now? The weather delay, is it going to cause some issues? But ended up getting it done.
And then everything seemed like it took forever when Chris Bryant fielded that ball at the end.
Oh, my gosh. I thought that ended up like 3 or 4 rows. I'm like, of course he throws it away. Of course he does.
You can tell as Chicago fans, we all suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder because we expect.
Luckily, Rizzo's a tall guy that could catch that ball.
Yeah. All right.
Are we going to do the halftime break?
Yeah, let's do a halftime break. We'll kick it off, though, in the second half coming up here. Welcome back to Challenge It for our second half of the NFL Draft coming up next week, guys. And the Chicago Bears, our beloved Chicago Bears, have, as of right now, 7 picks in the draft. And really excited about the opportunity to put, some the best position, really the best players available, right? I mean, when we talk about the Bears are in a position now because of what they've done in the offseason with that offensive line, just really in a position now to really kind of take the best position players available. And we'll talk about key players that we think would be a great addition to that roster in 2025. And Chris, why don't you get us started on, your key players and positions for the Bears?
Yeah, so I'll start off with the first comment here. Not a big fan. I don't want to trade up. I don't want to reach. I don't want to get rid of both of those picks early in the second round. Could be a playmaker, could be somebody good, but getting 2 guys early in that second round, I want to keep those picks. All the mocks that everybody's talking about, I don't think Genty's going to fall to us at 10. Now everyone talks about Ben Johnson running the 2 running back scheme. So if he's there, I'll take him. But I don't want to trade up for it. I just think best player available. I think you have to do your evaluations and see who falls to you, who's there. And I think you got to make the pick there. People are talking about Tyler Warren out of Penn State. I don't hate that at all. I know some people are like, well, you guys got Kmet, you re-signed him, all this. But there's nothing wrong with having 2 athletic tight ends that we can put out there at the same time. And then I think a question that we kind of touched on earlier as well, is Braxton Jones your guy? If he is, then I don't think you got to stretch there for a lineman. But if he isn't, then I think you got to bring somebody in, because he's on the last year of his rookie contract. If he's not that guy, then
and he's coming off an injury. We don't know how. I mean, he's projected to be ready from a health standpoint for the start of the season. But to your point, that's a big question mark.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, you brought in 3 key guys that Curtis talked about earlier, but you got to answer that question before you're going into this, because there could be good value there. The guy to Missouri that they're talking about, I think the guy at LSU will already be gone.
Will Campbell.
Yep. So I think the guy at Missouri, if he falls there, and if Braxton Jones is your guy, I think you take him there and have those guys compete and see if you can get any value, or do you trade him before the draft? For that last year on that contract.
So just to kind of go back to what you're saying there, Moose, is that running back, tackle, offensive line, possibly tight end. What about like a defensive end or a defensive lineman that happens to fall to the Bears, depending on what happens to them, or the picks, who drops 1 through 9.
Yep.
If you have one of those blue chip, quote unquote, players available, like a Mason Graham,
Mason Graham's
would you take him?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think as we talked about and we've seen in this offseason, we're building the trenches. So you can never have enough guys in those spots, especially with Dennis Allen coming in. You're going to get a lot of blitzes. You're going to play a lot of man-to-man, and those guys up front definitely need to get that pressure in there.
Yeah.
So defensive side, I was more leaning towards possibly second round for those guys. I think another question that needs to be asked in that second round is, are you sticking with Tyreek Stevenson? Because, I mean, as I just said, you're playing a lot of man-to-man. And Tyreek, watching film past couple of years, guy does not do too well in man-to-man coverage. You know Jalen Johnson's on an island over there by himself. He's came out and said he's going to be following the one throughout the whole year. So is there a corner, honestly, in the first round that could fall down?
Yeah, you can't have enough good corners
Yep.
on your roster. So, yeah, Will Johnson is the top-rated corner to come off the board from Michigan. We'll see what happens, who comes up, or where he goes, right? I mean, he could go before the Bears at 10. Yeah, there's a lot of anticipation. There's a lot of rumors we're hearing. We're less than a week away from the NFL draft, and the rumors just continue to fly, and trade rumors, all kinds of stuff. You guys know me. I love the draft. I mean, this is like one of the most exciting times of the year for me. I just had a quick question for you guys as brothers. Is this something that you guys get excited about every year, and you guys get together and watch the NFL draft?
If the chips fall into place, yes, we try to get together and watch it together.
Yeah, last year we got together, local pub, had a couple Miller Lights.
Easy with the juice.
We took a couple shots after Caleb Williams got drafted number 1.
All right, that's a good reason to take a couple shots.
Stuck around for Rome Odunze and had ourselves a good time at the bar.
Were you guys screaming for Rome at that point when the Bears picked Rome? He was on the clock. I couldn't believe he dropped.
When
he landed, I had a bet going with my buddy. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna lose. But then again, I didn't care because I liked Rome, so I didn't care that I lost the bet. I mean, we got a really good wide receiver right there. But Penix. You remember, Kurt? Everybody was in shock when Penix got taken at
after
8.
signing Cousins.
Right. All right, so who'd like to go next? Who order some key positions, key players that you would like to see the Bears add to their roster next football season?
I think we've got 3 picks within the first 41, right? We got number 39, number 41.
Yeah.
I think I'm a big fan of building on the trenches. Mm-hmm. My dream pick, I said earlier, Braxton is going to be better because of the new coach, Ben Johnson.
Uh-huh.
Will Campbell falls. How do you not take him?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Will Campbell right now out of LSU is one of those blue chip players that they have identified. Really good feet as a left tackle. There's been a lot of comments about his arm length, but when I watch the tape on Will Campbell, I see nothing but a true technician as a lineman, and I played left tackle in high school. So, and I'm not saying I'm an expert, but what I am saying is I know you have to have it's your feet and leverage as a tackle and technique. He has all that. And Dan Rochar is even on record saying, Bears lineman coaches, he's not really concerned about his arm length. And because he's watched tape on him too as well, and he feels like, hey, this kid can play. Yeah. And if he drops to the Bears at 10, man, what do they do?
Shocking at first.
Yeah, it will be shocking, but do the Bears take him?
I think you have to at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, there are plenty of good tackles in this draft. They say it's very deep. So, I mean, you got other guys like Conley Jr. from Oregon. You got him. You got Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas.
Right.
You got Simmons from OSU. I mean, you got
Josh Simmons, great tackle too.
You got a great line. I don't think you can go wrong. As Ben Johnson said in his introductory press conference, I want to build a bullpen of linemen, whether that's on offense or defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
So maybe if Shamar Stewart's there from A&M, that's a good defensive end that you could possibly want to take. But I would personally hold off until the second round because Jack Sawyer, in my mind, should still be there. And I really liked him, even though he beat my beloved Texas Longhorns, and he killed them the entire game.
Yeah.
There goes the flag.
Well,
well, you know what? Hey, Sawyer's a football player. Right, I mean the guy is he's wired. He's got that motor. You don't question his desire, his love for the game, and that's a big part of it. I mean, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have the desire and if you don't love the sport, I mean, obviously, You know, it makes a difference. You know, that he has that. But to your point, Kyle, I think this is the first draft that I can remember in a long time that the Bears are in a unique position where, you know, and to Chris's point that he was making earlier about they're not desperate.
No.
Right? And because of the depth that they have in this draft at left tackle, at running back, defensive line, I mean, those are the three strongest positions, I think, in this draft. The Bears are just kind of sitting there, and they're not in panic mode. They're like, all right, well, if this happens, then we can do this and this and this. And I can't remember a time going into the draft where you're like, man, the Bears better.
Yeah.
You know, they better take this or they better do this. And
They had that last year.
They
with
had that
Taylor.
last year, and that's usually the feeling among Bears fans. It's like, we got to get this right. And they still got to get it right. Don't get me wrong, because what they do in this draft is going to make a huge difference in their success next year in their win and loss record, right?
Yep.
You got to have the horses in the barn. Personally, I wrote down running back, left tackle, defensive end, safety, and not just left tackle, but you can also use some depth at guard, guys who are flexible. A guy like Donovan Jackson, who can play guard and tackle from Ohio State, is one of my favorite prospects in this draft. He's athletic, he's strong, he's got a mean streak, very versatile. I still think that they need to consider moving Darnell Wright to left tackle.
He did play that at Tennessee. He played both tackle positions.
Yeah, and I never understood why they didn't at least try that last year. Because to me, it's like, then it's not such a desperate, you know, you're not putting yourself as like, oh, I got to have a, you know, stud left tackle. He's good enough to play that. And then you can kind of put somebody at the right tackle that you feel confident about and kind of help him develop as you go along. But yeah, no, guys that I wrote down, for me personally, if Genty is there at 10, you take him. But another guy I like a lot, and this is the connection with North Carolina with Ben Johnson, is Omarion Hampton.
Oh yeah, the second running back supposedly in the draft.
He's a workhorse.
Yep.
And so, you know, I would be thrilled if they take him, you know. And so, yeah, so I got, you know, I'd like to see him grab, and Jalen Walker is one of my favorite players.
Oh yeah,
defensive end
Georgia.
from Georgia. So
Is he smaller or is he a big boy?
Jalen Walker, he's about 6'1". And let me get I'll tell you what. Why don't you guys? I'm going to look up that information. I'll come back to me and I'll get you some measurements on Walker. Okay, who would like to go next?
Josh, what are you feeling in the draft?
I haven't really been paying that much attention to the draft. You'd have to ask Jake, but he's on the podcast. He knows what he's talking about.
Uh-huh.
But I think that day 2 is going to be where teams are going to win the draft. This is the second day. That's the day I'm trying to get off work.
Good day to try.
Yeah, go over and have some food with my uncle. But, yeah, I think day 2 is going to be a big day for the Bears. And, you know, Ryan Poles has been hit or miss on some of these prospects that he's drafted. But I think we're at a spot right now, like you were saying, we're not desperate. You can't really go wrong as long as you just try and target positions that you need and just kind of let it play out and let the players that you have an eye on fall to you.
Yeah, Jalen Walker, 6'2", 245,
Big boy.
motor. I don't know if you saw the highlights at his pro day workout.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
This guy's a workhorse.
Can I ask why we're not talking about linebackers right now?
You want to talk about linebackers? We'll talk about linebackers.
So you extended TJ Edwards, got him another 2 years, but Jermaine Edmonds, I mean, what, last year? Does he have one more year after that? I'm not sure on the
I
contract.
think he
but
does.
Chris, I love your point, man.
You gotta bring some guys in there, right? You got the trenches coming. You gotta get the linebackers right behind him in sync. So, I mean, potential linebacker. I would like to see it day 2 possibly, if not day 3, and see if a guy works out.
Yeah, no, you can tell, and I've been on Tremaine Edmonds for the whole season last year. First of all, he was playing out of position. He's not a Mike linebacker. He's not a middle linebacker. He's more of a will linebacker. He's an athletic, you know, I wouldn't even call him a freak because he's long and he's quick.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't put him at the Mike position. You know, he's not a Mike. And I think Dennis Allen knows it, and that's why they sent That's why they signed up TJ Edwards, because they know TJ Edwards is a player. You can plug him in the mic. But to your point, Chris, I love it because they have to look at that position. They're not, they're not done.
Sandberg's gone now.
Sandberg was one of my favorite players.
Yep.
One of our dad's favorite players too.
I love the guy. I mean, I didn't understand why he didn't get playing time last year. But Kyle's point earlier about Sawyer's a guy that I think you can plug in at middle linebacker. TJ Edwards on as a strong linebacker and give Edmonds one more year to say, okay, prove it to me.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the captain, being the middle linebacker, as you know. Brian Urlacher, Dick Butkus, Mike Singletary, huge history in the Bears.
Yeah, and we do have that history. And I think Dennis Allen, his style of defense, he said he wants guys who are tough, nasty, have a swagger, and play with a chip on their shoulder. That doesn't scream Tremaine Edmonds.
No.
Not to bring it up, but Tremaine Edmonds, same draft as Roquan Smith. So,
That hurts. That hurts.
sorry to bring it up.
Bring back Roquan.
You got to pour salt in the wound then.
Yeah.
All right. Any guys, when we look at the Bears roster, I guess is, because they have their additions in the off season, I think it would be really easy for the Bears to say, hey, we just signed the defensive end from the Colts. I forgot his name. Dio. Which for me, it's my understanding, Colin, he's versatile. He can play outside, but he also can play a little bit in the inside position. But I don't think the Bears are like Montez Sweat, a little disappointment last year. His numbers dropped. I would be, it makes sense to me, to have somebody on that other end that it's going to get to the quarterback every single down. So that's why I go back to Jalen Walker. Even Mikael Williams, his teammate at Georgia, would be somebody to look at too as well. So any thoughts on any specific players that you would say, you know what, he's a sleeper? Any players in this draft that you would say, he's not projected to go until maybe the second or third round, but any good players that you have your eye on?
I got a good one. So our safeties are okay, right? When Brisker's healthy, he's good, but he hasn't proven to play a full season yet. Bayard's getting up there. He's only got 1 year left on the deal. Looking at our Notre Dame safety.
Oh, yeah, I know where you're going.
Xavier Watts.
Yes.
Who, was a first-round pick, kind of projected last year.
Last year, yeah.
Kind of slipped now to the second. I think he would be a great pickup to, as soon as Brisker gets hurt, fill in there. As soon as Bayard gets a little old, fill in there. I think we could play him.
It's already old.
Yep, he is. Or the kid from South Carolina, too. I mean, I forget his name, but...
Nick Amanwari.
Yeah, my dad really liked him.
He is. My brother loves him. He's safety out of South Carolina. Tall.
Big Gamecocks.
Tall, long, and fast.
Yeah.
He's just like a ball hawk.
You need that. And same with Xavier Watts. Both those guys are ball hawks.
Yeah, my brother's hoping he drops to the Commanders, and he's a big Commanders fan. He's like you, Colin. He doesn't, follow the Bears train.
Okay. Well, that game had to be fun for you last year. The only other guy I would say is James Pierce Jr. From Tennessee. Obviously, talking about him. Was going to be a projected top 10, top 15 guy last year. Was supposed to be this year. Some character issues. So, to your point, we talked about it earlier. We got the staff in there that could fix him right. We didn't go. We went with Darnell Wright over Jalen Carter because of that reason. Look at Jalen Carter now.
Yeah.
So if he does drop to early second rounder, I think we got the guys in place that could fix him up a little bit and be a huge addition on the end.
Yeah, great point. And he's a guy that's he was, like you said, Chris. He was projected to go first round, right? I mean, they were talking a lot about him at the combine. And then his name just has kind of, I wouldn't say it's dropped off, but, last I looked, he's looking like he could go early in the second. And the Bears are sitting at 39 and 41. And to Curtis's point earlier about I think safety is a position that they have to really address in the draft at some point because Brisker's a heck of a player. He only knows how to play one way, and it's full steam ahead. Usually, and that concussion was unfortunate, but I don't think he can kind of change his game. I don't know if he can stay healthy. So they have to address the safety position.
Now, you're telling a lion not to attack, and
Right.
basically that's his only instinct is attack,
Yeah.
attack.
And that's typical of players coming out of Penn State. That's how they're coached. They're coached hard, and those
Yeah.
guys usually project as good NFL players too.
Abdul Carter. I mean,
Abdul Carter
watch
is
out for
another
that
example.
guy. I mean, I wouldn't give up the draft capital to trade up in the top 3 to grab him, but if this was like year 2 or 3 of Johnson's regime, and he's like, okay, this is the last guy we need right here to take us over the top, then maybe you do that move.
Yeah, let's move to the defensive tackle position, that 3 technique. There's a couple guys that I really like. Derek Harmon out of Oregon. He's a big kid. I mean, he's a big boy. He definitely demands a double team all the time, and it's obviously makes the difference for your linebackers to get some free and get them to get some additional pass rush. And we already talked about Mason Graham. He's projected to go first 10, but his teammate, Grant, is another guy that the Bears could look at grabbing. So there's some good defensive tackles in this draft as well.
Yep.
You can never have too many linemen. How many make it through all 17 games unscathed?
Okay. Well, I'm going to close this part with if there's one player, I know it's going to be hard, right? If there's one player that you're like hoping the Bears get in the first 2 rounds, who would that one player be?
Well, I'll start with my bias pick, and my brothers know where I'm going to go. Left tackle, Calvin Banks Jr., University of Texas.
Yep.
You need assurance at the left tackle, and maybe he pushes Braxton Jones to that next level.
You'd be jumping for joy.
Oh, I would be ecstatic.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. Watch that kid for years.
Left tackle, Will Campbell, LSU.
LSU.
Nothing
Tigers.
wrong with that.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Genty. If he's there, you gotta take him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta do it.
I don't like the cold from Chicago on his Instagram page.
But I mean, fantastic running back. Everybody saw it. Even produced when no one think he'd do well against those bigger team names. So if he's there, you gotta do it.
Okay. Kyle, anybody?
I was going to say Genty as well. I like him. I think the Bears could use him too, honestly.
All right.
Ben Johnson wants him.
Yep, that's the rumor. Josh, what about you?
Whoever is going to win us the Super Bowl.
That's the right answer. That's the right answer.
Easy. Oh, easy.
That's the end goal. Is all that matters.
That's that political response. Me, I like Genty. I like the kid out of North Carolina. I just got a gut feeling about him. Hampton reminds me a lot of Barkley. Donovan Jackson would be another one I would be thrilled at because that guy could play left tackle. He has played left tackle for Simmons, and he's done well. Would be another guy I'd be excited about. And then Jalen Walker out of Georgia
Good list.
would be my 3 that I'd be, I'll be happy with whoever they take. Cross my fingers.
Well, it looks like this team's actually in unison, unlike the years past where, John Fox, when he was the coach and the Bears drafted Mitchell Trubisky, he knew nothing about it
was
until
the-
that day.
Oh my gosh, Josh, can you remember the player that the Bears took?
Shea McClellan.
Shea
Oh my
McClellan.
God!
Shea
Because the
McMuffin.
Patriots wanted him.
So
and
I
the
just had a
Packers.
flashback on that. To give you guys a little history, I have every year, me, I get excited about the draft. I love the Bears, so I had all my buddies that I worked with at the high school come over every year. We'd have a little draft party. Got the taco dip flowing. We got the pizza rolling. Bears had, I think, the 9th pick.
I believe you're right.
In the draft, they had, I forgot who was on the board, but they had like 4 or 5 guys. You're like, man, I can't believe this guy's still sitting there. And out of nowhere,
Shea McClellan,
Shea McClellan, and
Bill Emery's pick.
and you should have seen my face. And one of my buddies is like looking at me, and he's like, "The Bears hate me." Yeah, but that had to be like one of the worst draft picks in Bears history.
Worse than Cedric Benson.
Yeah, and probably, I would say so. Not much. Shea McClellan, what'd he do? Right?
He had a decent career. I mean, he went to New
He was
England, did
horrible.
a couple
He
things.
was trash Ola.
yeah, he played. I don't know.
There's
Didn't
nothing decent about that.
Trashola.
Both him and Cedric had to leave before they would
Get
do
him
something.
out of here, McMuffin.
I remember McMuffin. Yeah, he wasn't good.
All right, moving on here in the second half, we're going to close it out with our personal favorite all-time athlete. Who do you got? Who wants to go first?
I think Colin hasn't gone first yet.
Sure, I can go first. It was quick pick for me. I loved Andrew Luck, being a Colts fan. Loved Andrew Luck. Horrible retirement, but I don't blame the guy either. He got injured every year because we never gave him an offensive line. And as soon as he leaves, we gave him an offensive line, right? But it was too late.
Yeah, it was
but,
Retired during the game, didn't
watching
he?
highlights of him getting sacked and then congratulating guys and making sure they're okay when they hit it just didn't make any sense. His will to just fight and win, even when he had nobody around him, he figured it out.
Yeah, he was a stud quarterback.
And he's a really smart guy too.
Right.
Now he's back at Stanford. He's
Yeah.
just happy with his life. He played in the NFL. He could have made hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Would have
Right.
had one of the biggest contracts, and instead he's like, made my money, I'm content, and moved on.
More respect for those guys than you want
Yeah.
the ones that just stick
Same with,
around
like,
for the money.
Luke Kuechly, you know what I mean? Same guy.
Yeah.
He retired pretty early too, but he made his money. He was happy and took a lot of hits to the head. He said, I don't want to do it anymore. So.
I mean, I think it's common sense. When you get a unique talent quarterback like, Luck, surround him, protect him.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's all we had to do.
It's all you had to do.
That's all. And we were set for, a long time.
Us Bears fans, we know about that, right, guys?
Exactly.
Andrew Luck.
All right, who wants to go next?
You want me to jump in? Obvious choice for me, Brian Urlacher.
Big
What a
Brian,
guess.
huh?
There you go.
We've
What a
already
guess
talked
that
a
one.
couple of his highlights, but every time he was on the field, he was someone to fear.
He was an athlete, that's for sure. Played safety at New Mexico, and Bears got him, and they said, "You're going to linebacker." And he, look at him. I mean, he's like, "All right."
Yep.
He could have played pretty much anywhere.
Yeah. He was a ball hawk.
Yeah, and he's got a son, right?
Yeah.
Notre
he
Dame.
went to-
Notre Damer.
He just entered the transfer portal, though, by the way.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see where he ends up.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe with the Bears.
Maybe.
All right, I'll go. Speaking of Bears, Walter Payton was my
Sweetness.
guy. I grew up loving Walter. It got me through many years of school, just sitting in class, daydreaming.
Being like
about-
Walter Payton.
Thinking about Sunday. I hated school, and anything that kept me looking forward to Sunday was Walter. I'm telling you, like, that got me through every week of school. I was like, at least I get to watch Walter running for his life because he didn't really have a great offensive line. He had a couple of guys that were good, Noah Jackson, Reevy Sorey, but Walter was awesome. I used to work for Walter at Studebakers, his club in Schaumburg. I was a disc jockey there.
Awesome.
Real nice guy. And a lot of people don't know that Walter actually was going to be a special ed teacher. He wanted to be, if he didn't make it to the NFL, he was going to be working with special ed students.
Nice.
He had a heart for people, and he was a great guy and great hero. And then Michael Jordan is my other one. So just the competitiveness that Jordan had was unbelievable.
Willed this team to win all the time.
Nah, he just unbelievable athlete. So those are my two.
All right.
Go ahead,
I
Kyle.
guess I will go. And I'm going to go off the grid. I'll go with another bull, like you, Joe. But Michael's actually second on my list. First one, I think you know where I'm going to go.
You got Scotty?
No.
No?
Dennis.
Dennis
The one.
Rodman.
I mean, the guy didn't have to play offense. He played defense. He just did all the dirty work.
No, I love that,
And,
Kyle.
I modeled my game kind of after him when I played at Emmanuel. I'd throw an elbow up there when people weren't looking, trying to
Could
get the
run like a deer
Yeah,
nonstop.
exactly. I mean, except couldn't beat Dan in those sprints back up and down the floor by a little bit. But, he was my favorite. I modeled my game. There's actually a picture of me being him for Halloween.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was
hair
a
color, too.
great athlete. I mean, just one, arguably, and Shaq said it, he's the only guy that could guard me. Shaq said that about
I
Dennis
heard Shaq
Rodman.
say it. You know what? And Rodman was underrated.
He was. And he was only here for 3 years, but 3 years, 3 championships.
Yeah.
I'll take that over.
I mean, the guy. I hated him when he was on the
Pistons, yeah.
Couldn't stand him. But when the Bulls got him, I mean, my gosh, the guy just never got tired.
And, he could do whatever he wanted, all hours of the night, do whatever he needed to do. But he got up and he played his game. He'd
Yep.
out-rebound Karl Malone,
Yep.
Hakeem, any of those guys
Yeah.
during the 90s.
No, Rodman, Jordan had a lot of great things to say about Rodman too as well.
He said he was one of his best teammates because all he had to do was show up and do his job.
Right.
He didn't have to.
Did all the dirty work. Then
Didn't
nobody
need to
else
get
wanted-
the glory.
Yep. No, Rodman was a very unselfish player. He really
And
was.
Phil was one of the only coaches that can coach him.
Right.
Him and Chuck Daly.
Yep.
The other coaches that he had didn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
Phil was the guy who could lure him back in and know how to control him for the most part.
Right. No, I love it. Dennis Rodman, great player.
It's me.
Yep.
All right. Kind of goes not necessarily year by year, but every 5 years or so. Baseball player growing up, so that was my sport that I did follow a lot. So it kind of goes all center fielders because I also played center field and wanted to play like these guys, all 5-tool guys. So went from Ken Griffey Jr. back in his Seattle days, then to Torrey Hunter when he was with Minnesota, great player, and now currently Mike Trout.
Mike Trout.
Yep.
Man, those are some great examples of great athletes. So, out of those three that you mentioned, Chris, if you had to pick one of those three to be on your like all-time roster or all-pro baseball list, who would just choose to play center field for you out of those three?
I think it's going to be Ken Griffey Jr.
Ken Griffey. Okay.
That's the right answer.
Smoothest swing in baseball ever.
Yeah.
Big bat.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, Josh, we're going to you.
I already said earlier, I'm going to stick with Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know. I just like the fact that he's the youngest MVP. I think his he at the point guard position, he was able to jump and move like no one ever saw before. Really, like he could play vertical. He could come downhill. He could having a point guard who could do. I think John Morant now is probably as most similar that you could say, but it's a different game. I think at the time, I don't know. It's just I like Derrick Rose.
Yeah, Rose, another guy that played with a high motor all the time, could only play one way, really just kind of driving the lane, had no fear. Vertical was, for a guy his size, it was incredible.
Oh, my God. The dunk over Dragic. I mean,
yeah, Josh, his first stop, too, was always like,
He's already by you.
He's already by you. He was a heck of a player. You just wish he would have on the Bulls a little bit longer than he was.
Yep.
Right, and the Bulls had a chance to win a championship while he was here.
Why can't I be MVP? His famous quote.
Right.
They haven't won a home playoff game since that buzzer beater, I believe.
I believe you're right.
Yeah.
Sports, pain.
Bulls are for another show, guys. That's going to be a whole nother. Well, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I tell you what, man, this has been a real special day for me, having you guys on our show. I know we're going to do this again. And loved having you guys. Great seeing you. And it's great to see all four of you together, right?
Yeah.
And keep that going. And love you guys. And just wanted to remind our audience that we're on Spotify, YouTube, and challengeitsports.com. Check us out. And take care and have a great day. And go Bears.
Go Bears.
The Bears.